Hello, and welcome to the Anime Academy. I'm your headmaster, Paolo.
And I'm Zakk.
Class is now in session. Today, we are going to be talking about another great anime, and this anime is called Parasyte.
Parasyte started as a sci-fi horror manga by Hitoshi Iwaki. It ran from 1988 to 1995, and in 2014, almost 20 years after the manga was concluded, it received an anime adaptation by Madhouse called Parasyte the Maxim. For those unfamiliar with the show, the story follows a 17-year-old Shinichi Izumi. One night, his right hand becomes possessed by an alien parasite named Migi, after which he finds himself battling against other parasites who feast on humans. The show has excellent characters and plot, and you can never tell what's going to happen next. It brings a lot of ethical questions and makes you really think and question what it means to be human.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest question we all have. What does it mean to be a human? Are we born as good, or are we born bad, or are we born neutral? And the decisions that we make in life will affect how we perceive not only ourselves, but other people.
Of course. And even with that, we have to question what is good, who decides what's good,
Right.
right? Who decides what's evil. Speaking of which, Migi and Shinichi's relationship, that's a really interesting one. The two of us have discussed it in the past. I don't know if we've done it on the show, but we've certainly talked about it before. It's really cool because they kind of hate each other. They don't like each other because they make each other's lives difficult.
Right.
Right? Migi was unsuccessful at taking over Shinichi as a host. And then, the two of them needing to coexist means that Shinichi's life is made a little more difficult, right? He's got to adapt to certain things. He's still living his life as he would be, except, there's a second voice and a talking hand and a morphing hand, right?
Yeah. And also with that, you also have to keep this another life a secret,
Mm-hmm.
because if his parents found out, if his friends found out, they would have just sent him to the cops and they would have operated on him and done the most grotesque things just to figure it out. But with Shinichi, he was like, I cannot, I have to, it's, Hannah Montana, like, you gotta keep this life like a secret. You cannot tell anybody.
Shinichi's got the limo out front.
Ooh, whoa. Like, he
Um,
is truly another version of Hannah Montana. But again, I don't think Hannah Montana had Migi, chilling around,
Man, you know
unfortunately.
that special episode of Hannah Montana where she's like fighting shape-shifting parasites and then just goes on dates afterwards?
Yeah,
That was an
defined
episode.
my childhood.
Yeah,
Defined my childhood.
very important.
Quite.
So yeah, it's interesting because they make each other's lives difficult, but they have to work together in order to ensure the survival of each of them, right?
Both of them are the definition of polar opposites. Like Shinichi, he's very optimistic, very positive, like go-getter in life.
Very
And then Migi's like
emotional too.
very quite emotional.
Yeah,
And Migi is like, yeah, let's just kill this person. Like, what's the big I don't understand what the big deal is. It's just
yeah.
life and death. It's just a circle of life. There's not there's not anything other than that.
Migi tends to see things very, very black and white.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's really cool how the two of them, despite being so different, despite making each other's lives difficult, they have no choice but to work together. Have no choice but
hmm
to work together to fight together, and there's a weird kind of bond that comes from that.
Yeah, it's almost uh a sibling bond, like the older sibling and the younger sibling,
Mm,
almost, in regards to just, oh, like Shinichi could be like the younger sibling, and Migi's like, yeah, man, just kill the person, like just do it. Come on, I know you want to. They don't deserve to live. And Shinichi's like, no, like life is precious, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
Mm, life is precious. That is an interesting quote that we're going to come back to. Um, for now, do you have any topics you want to start us off with?
Um, I would just like to address the whole. I would like to talk about how, in such a short amount of anime, it's on Netflix and it's only 24 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
In 24 episodes, you had maybe 3 to 5 different things going on, and respectively intertwining with one another, and then at the end, it just all kind of concludes, and it all makes sense. And that's what I love about short anime. I like how it just, yeah, like there could be a million things going on. There could be 10 things. There could be one just main thing. But what I liked about Parasyte was that it didn't leave any stone untouched. If something was mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
they came back to it. It might not have been right away. It might have been a couple episodes down the line, but they came back to it and they resolved that, and or they mentioned it again. So that's what I really liked about Parasite.
For sure, it's got a lot of loose ends that it kind of ties up last minute, but it
That's
doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like they're doing it because they had to.
right.
Very well done. I know before we started recording, you mentioned names, and
Yes.
there's some interesting meaning behind the names in this show.
Yeah, so for those of us who do not know, Shinichi means truth and Migi means right. I just think that's well done on the author's part. That's gold. That is writing gold because it literally intertwines with each other so well, and you can't get any better than that. Just having that little similarity, and it's so subtle. Like if you didn't know any better, and or if you didn't look up the name, like you would never like, oh, duh.
Yeah,
That was not
for
English. I'm
someone
sorry.
who's unfamiliar with Japanese or somebody who is unfamiliar with like the meaning behind names and stuff, it's definitely it's a cool subtlety to pick up on, which actually leads me into the first of a couple facts that you may not have known about Parasite. So, in most iterations of Parasite, you know, Shinichi's right hand is Migi, and that's his Parasite. However, um, when it was translated one time, manga panels got flipped and mirrored.
Oh,
So it ends up being his left hand, in which case Migi's name was Lefty subsequently.
oh,
Yeah.
no, really?
Yep. It
Okay,
was in an
let me
English
hold on.
release.
So you mean to tell me that the right hand had this really dope name and it had a really dope meaning, and for the left hand, I'm like, well, shit, it's left, so let's just call it Lefty. They couldn't come up with a clever name, a play on words.
I mean,
Lefty.
that's basically what Migi's name is, too.
It's
Migi's
not
name is just
righty.
right. It's just in
Yeah, but it's not.
Japanese.
Yeah, but it's not flat out righty. No, I refuse to believe that they can. They could, even if it was like, I don't know, on the left hand side, that would have been a better name than just Lefty.
Um,
Anyways,
Here's another fact. I don't know if you're familiar with Aya Hirano, but she was the voice of Migi in the original, and she's a celebrity voice actress, so her name was actually credited before Shinichi's.
wow.
And on a similar train of thought, there's actually a female beatboxer who creates all of the sound effects for Migi.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
All of Migi's sound effects are beatboxing. It's pretty
That's
sweet.
that's pretty cool. That's really dope.
So I mentioned earlier that it was 20 years between the manga concluding and it getting a an anime adaptation, right? So it was something that had been talked about prior. I know New Line Cinema ended up with the rights to it at some point, and they held on to it for a long time as far as making a live action film, but it never happened. Ultimately, it was scrapped, and because they had the rights, it was nothing could be done with it, right? And
Correct.
in the time, Studio Ghibli almost made a film, a Parasite
Oh,
film, which would have been really, really cool, really interesting. I don't know how it would have worked because you'd have to condense the story down, cut a lot of it.
and
But
there's a lot of important things that happens within the anime that if you cut one part out, then it wouldn't make sense unless they were to make a movie not following the manga at all. Like totally different situation.
fair
Yeah,
enough, just playing with the concept of it, right?
correct.
I was really appreciative that this film didn't happen and that we got the anime because, you know, as crazy good as I'm sure a Studio Ghibli um, Parasite film would have been, I don't think it would have, in my eyes at least, topped the anime adaptation that we got, Parasite the Maxim.
Yeah, fair. I would, however, not done by Netflix. I would like to see a live adaptation of Parasite. Can
There
you just
have been a
imagine?
there have been a couple. As of right now, I know there was a Japanese live action take on it that's a two-parter.
Oh,
So I think my understanding, I haven't seen it. I think it tells the story of the entire series abridged over two films.
okay,
So it does it justice a lot better than, sitting down and doing one short film would.
right.
But I can't really speak to the quality of that. I haven't seen it. So
Um,
Kana
I see,
couldn't
I
sense
see.
Shinichi, but she can sense the parasites.
Right.
So, what does this mean? Why is this? So it's interesting. I mean, they try and lead us on to believe that she can sense him because she thinks that she can, but it's the parasites, and she can't tell the difference. But she also, I don't think, ever figured out that he had Migi. Obviously, Shinichi hasn't fully merged with Migi in the regular host parasitic relationship, right?
Right.
And we can tell that obviously the relationship is different and can't be as easily identified by the pulling of the hair.
Yes.
But it goes beyond this. Shouldn't Kana have been able to sense Shinichi?
I, like you said, had Migi fully taken over, then yeah, 1000%. But since Migi is just in his right arm and not fully taken over, he wouldn't have that same effect as a regular parasite would.
Hmm.
So in that case, I think it's fair to say that that's fine that she couldn't sense them. But let me tell you, when he plucked his own hair, I was like, oh shit. And then nothing happened. I'm like, oh, okay. That's,
Hmm.
is it magic? Is this trickery? I didn't understand it at first.
So Reiko is shown to be very, very intelligent, having a very special intelligent parasite. Is this maybe the leader of the parasites? Is it, I don't know, just that it adapted a very smart, capable host? A lot of questions there, but this also gets into the idea of them creating man-made parasites,
Right.
right? So, what was this process? Are all parasites man-made, right? Were they a tool created by the government? Was it something that was some random freak of nature? Are they in fact alien?
Um, I have a theory, and you're gonna look at me like I have three heads. It's not the most well thought out theory, but it's a working theory.
All right.
It's a work in progress. Okay. So the parasites, right? What if they are Okay, think back centuries, millenniums. I can't remember what's bigger than a millennium. All like back. They are in my ideology, in my philosophy, they were the earliest forms of titans. Think about it. The parasites take over the people, like humans, and they were man-made in a way. The titans were man-made in a way. It makes sense.
Okay, okay. So should we start calling this show "Everything Is Attack on Titan"?
Okay, I know. I'm just listen, but that would make sense. I think we should write that. You always talk about Attack on Titan the musical. I say we do Parasite Attack on Titan the musical. I
Oh
would write that.
boy. Oh boy. I'm just thinking of Parasyte the musical in general now.
That would be lit. Can
That would
you
be
imagine the
crazy.
fight scenes between the parasites and they're just
Oh,
absolutely going like I would lose my
but
shit.
how would you do that? Well, you couldn't do it on stage. It would have to be film. It would have to be a movie musical in that case
I mean,
to
if
be done
okay,
effectively.
if they can do an Audrey 2 on stage, they can do Parasite on stage. Okay? I'm not hearing any excuses about this. This needs to happen.
Fair enough. So another thing we see when Migi first takes on Shinichi's hand is doing research on alien hand syndrome. And this is just the neurological disorder in which a hand moves around without a person being aware of it. So this lack of control is actually that which inspired the idea for Migi.
Wait, like that's an actual thing?
Yeah.
Like like it's real.
Yep.
How does one get an alien hand? It's just
Well, it's like I was
genetics,
saying, it's a neurological disorder
right?
where, yeah, basically your nervous system and whatnot causes your hand to move without you even being aware of it. It's involuntary movement of the hand. Now that doesn't mean you're going to be writing things in your sleep, going fist first into a wall or into someone's face just randomly. Your hands are
Are they
not
kind
going
of
to
sick
turn into
though?
knives, but
Damn it. I don't want it then. If my hands aren't turning into knives and cutting up somebody, don't want it. I'll take it back for a refund. I don't, sorry. But I can't believe that's an actual thing. That's so interesting. That's such an interesting concept.
it's pretty cool. I don't know if it's ever been confirmed, but it is very very close and probably too close to be a coincidence, especially given the fact that it's been mentioned I think a couple times in the series between the manga and the anime. Anyway, in the original manga, Migi is actually gender neutral.
Oh. I mean, truth be told, I thought Migi was more female, but now that you mentioned that Migi was not supposed to have gender, I kind of see that.
Here's another thing similar to what we see in Spider-Man when he gets bit by the spider. Migi significantly improves Shinichi's vision.
Yes.
This is something that only really happens in the anime, right? Only something that is made mention of or made a point of. But yeah, it's really interesting. We see the character stop wearing his glasses, start wearing his hair differently.
It's almost like Migi. I mean, it basically is. Migi made him stronger in his vision and his athletic mobility in every little aspect of life. Migi kind of added his own cells into his blood flow, which made him a different person. That's why his friends were like, "Is that really you?"
Mhm.
Because they've never seen this person before. But Shinichi's like, "No, it's still good old me, just with a little extra spice, just to spice up my life a little bit."
Shinichi's emotions are a really cool topic because he starts off super super emotional, Then she's with Migi, slowly sees them kind of disappear, and finds he basically learns how to be human again
Yeah,
throughout
because
the series. It's pretty crazy.
at the start he was just your average Joe,
Hmm.
you know. But once Miggy implanted himself into him, he kind of switched his outlook on life and made him this alternate version of himself that he didn't even know existed until Miggy put himself in him and kind of just toyed with him a little bit.
Hmm. It's really interesting watching this series and reflecting on human emotion, what it means, how it sets us apart. So that was always an element of the show I really, really enjoyed. And then, I mean, last
Shinji really
thing.
got in his feels. You know,
Hmm.
he was really in his feels.
Well, dude, you got to think of all the traumatic shit that he goes through in this
No, I'm
show.
not saying it's a bad
Like,
thing.
no, no, no,
I
no. I'm saying, like, yeah, there's a lot for him to experience. And the fact that he just sits there blankly sometimes, and other times he's like curled up in a ball crying. Like,
he's what, 17 at the time?
yeah, yeah, he's
And
17 when the
he's
show starts.
not only is he witnessing an alien parasite in his right arm, he's legitimately experiencing death. He's seeing people literally be chopped up right in front of him at
Hmm.
17. I at 17 I would have lost my mind. I would have gone crazy. I mean, I was 17 what, 2 years ago? But still, that's crazy.
Hitoshi Iwaki was really, really inspired by a lot of superhero comic books that were out at the time. So we see a lot of like superhero tropes appear in the original manga, especially, but they make their way into the anime as well. It's really, really cool. It's interesting because I mean, I made a comparison to Spider-Man earlier, but it really is a similar story, except okay, maybe more along the lines of like Venom, but you have this symbiote, this parasite that has no regard or care for human existence.
Miggy just doesn't, for lack of better terms, he doesn't see the hype about human life.
Hmm.
He doesn't quite understand it. He just feels that it's not worth fighting over. But however, now that he is attached to Shinichi, he's going to protect him because if he goes, Migi goes, and Migi
Hmm.
doesn't want to go.
No, Migi does not. Where did these parasites come from?
I still think it would make it would be a great mashup. I mean, the two animation studios are quite different in regards to animation style, but it would make the most. It would honestly, if think about it, from what you. So for the people at home who have watched Attack on Titan up until the recent episode, from what you know about Attack on Titan, and to those of us who watch Parasite, you're gonna sit here and you tell me that it's not gonna make any sense whatsoever. You are wrong. I will fight you in the comment section.
Shinichi was the original Titan shifter.
Well, not maybe that he was the dude. It just oh, unless another theory could just literally be in space. There's aliens and they want to take over the human world, so they send like their little babies out, and that's how the parasites will get into contact with humans. So once the humans have been controlled by the parasites, aliens will come down, take over the world, and roll the credits. End of story.
Dude, I'm gonna do you one better. What if there was one of the nine Titan shifters that literally was just a giant parasite? Or what if you gave
Remember,
the armored Titan like a parasite or something? How
remember when
crazy
I
would that
just
be?
said like 5 seconds ago that it makes perfect sense? It makes perfect sense. It goes into each other like a fine wine. and I think someone should make this. Shit, I might just make this. I might make I think it makes sense.
Dude,
Only because both shows have have some inhuman aspects to it. Both question what is good, what is evil. Both question, is the protagonist really good or is the protagonist really bad? It What if Shinichi and Eren are the same person, just in different time eras,
mm. Well, I
and
haven't seen
Migi is just a
Shinichi
Titan?
committing any war crimes, but you know.
I mean, okay, that's why I said two different time eras.
No, it's really cool comparison. I have this image now of, I mean, it's the same image we bring up every time we talk about Attack on Titan, but freaking
Dude, I
Colossal
know what you're
Titan
gonna
peering
say.
over the
Stop
wall,
it!
and his
Stop it!
head is a parasite.
All I just see, it's just Migi's like one huge eyeball just go over the like Shinji.
Dude, could you imagine? The hand is over, head peeks, and the fingers just like slither down the wall, turn into blades or something.
Dude, again, okay. Note to us, we need to stop talking about Attack on Titan and cross-referencing to other shows because we're gonna get out of control. First, it's Hello Kitty. Now we're doing I mean, both are quite iconic. Anyways, I kind of do like the idea about space though. I've always been fascinated and always curious about what is truly out there and how
Mm-hmm.
small we are in the world. And if it is true that aliens did want to take over the world and they wanted to send out like a test subject, that being the parasites, that would kind of make sense.
Mm-hmm. Really, really interesting to think about the legit possibility of not, necessarily a host or parasites that could turn us into shapeshifters or whatever, but just the idea of, alien life coming here that maybe we literally have no idea has
I love
already been here.
aliens. Aliens are I'm very fascinated by extraterrestrial life, and I think we are so small. Our galaxy, just the Milky Way galaxy, is so small. We are so small.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that people don't think that there's other life forms out there is beyond me. It's beyond me. That's why it would make sense for Parasite to have that little extraterrestrial, something from another galaxy or another supernova or supercluster, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think they're both two different things, but regardless,
Mm-hmm.
having something that's out of this world try to infiltrate our ecosystem and our atmosphere is so cool. I just find alien abductions so fascinating. So, on that note of
On
me
that
being,
note,
this has been another lovely episode. I can't believe we're already on episode 5. That's
yeah,
crazy. I always have the funnest of times with you, Zakk.
it's always fun for sure.
Make sure if you like attending the Anime Academy, don't forget to give us a little like, maybe a comment, if you will. Share with your friends. Show it to your mom, your dad, your siblings, your dog, anyone who's willing to listen about this wonderful series called Parasyte. Thank you all for joining us, and we shall see you next week. I'm your headmaster Paolo,
And I am Zakk.
and this has been Anime Academy.
Take care, everybody.